Hi, Remarkable Lifers. This is Craig.
And I'm KJ.
This is Truly Remarkable Life. So today we are going to tell you the story of how we met. It's a sweet story.
Okay.
You're the crier.
One, two, three, shaping this destiny.
Where do we start, KJ?
It all starts with a phone call.
Well, not a phone call. There's a little bit that happened before that.
Okay, well, so really the story for me, it started back in 2010, 2011. I was going through a time period in my life that was very tumultuous, and I was going through a lot of changes. And I had a lot of people in my life that were helping me to make those changes, but most importantly and most profoundly was my best friend, and his name is Lee. Lee, in order to help me out, Lee actually moved into my house and was there with me on a day-to-day basis, helping me to find the strength to make it through all the challenges and everything that I was facing, and was helping me out in ways that I just couldn't even possibly imagine.
Yeah, and Lee had been in my life about 8 years. He worked up where I lived, and we got to be close, and we stayed in touch. And Lee was one of those people that was just an absolute party every time you walked in. He just occupied the space wherever he was. And so it was really hard not to just fall in love with him as a person. That kind of leads into the story, but also I had a backstory of a couple of years before that. Things had just gone absolutely haywire in my life, and I had started to pull it together. And then one day I was sitting in the drive-thru at McDonald's, and the phone rang. And it was KJ. And we had never met. I knew of him. He didn't really know me and know of me.
No.
But through Lee. And one day the phone rang, and I picked it up, and he said, "Hey, Craig."
It was me.
"This is KJ, a friend of Lee's." And I said, "Oh no, what's up?"
So what had happened was, while my best friend was giving everything he had to help me get through everything that I was going through, he was also going through a lot on his own. And I was trying very, very hard to help him with the things that he was going through. Unfortunately, everything he was going through got the best of him, and Lee took his own life. Lee actually emailed me his suicide letter. And he emailed it from a domain name that he used to own, and the email server that I was host that I was using, identified that as being spam and directed into my junk folder, which most people don't check their junk folder all the time.
Right,
so,
which you don't find until later,
right.
Unfortunately.
So unfortunately that all happened, and it was actually the next day that I found it. I just knew it didn't make any sense. I'm like, he had to have left a letter or something, and there was nothing. And something just told me to look in my junk folder. I did, and I found it. And in the letter, there was a very short list of names that Lee wanted me to contact, and Craig was the last person on that list, which I think is a very honorable place to be. It means that they were really thinking about you.
I almost forgot.
Yeah,
no, I'm kidding.
So I was so devastated that I was almost catatonic. I couldn't do anything. I just sat in a chair and cried for days on end, and I finally picked up the phone and called Craig.
Yeah. So I get the phone call, And I had been friends with Lee for a long time, and I knew that he had some mental health issues. And it was not a surprise. Let's just say that. It was a shock, but it wasn't a surprise. I feared something like that all of my life, and I think that was actually something I said to you was, I was afraid this was going to happen. And as close as you tried to get to him, he pulled away sometimes, and but yet at the same time, outwardly, a lot of times he was the life of the party. So it came as quite a shock to a lot of people. As a part of that, though, I immediately said, I'm on my way down. And one of the reasons that got me to really respond to that is that the previous 2 years and what really went wrong in my life was one of my best friends had died. Not of suicide, but of cancer. And in addition to that, which is a whole separate video, we could do 10 videos on our life stories. I had health problems. And then I had kind of come full circle in that. And I was at this place, in a really good place at the time. And I just knew what he was about to experience, what he was about to go through as Lee's best friend. And so I said, I'm going to be down.
So Craig shows up, and I felt immediately drawn to him because he stepped up and he came in and said, what can I do? And no one had done that yet. And I really felt like someone was helping me say, let me help you shoulder this burden. And he kind of took charge and really helped me get through that day. The day he showed up was the day of Lee's memorial service. So, and he stood by me through the whole thing, kept checking on me. Are you doing okay? After the memorial service was over, the people that had been hanging out at my house and everything, they all left. They just disappeared. And I just did not want to be in that house alone by myself. And Craig had gotten a hotel room. And I asked him, I said, I've got a big house here. Would you mind staying the night? I don't want to be alone. And
we ended up setting up all out talking about Lee, about life, about getting to know each other,
about the stuff we'd gone through in our lives, where we were at, where, our outlooks on life. It was really neat.
And the more we talked, the more similar we realized that we were. And we'd had some kind of parallel experiences in life, even though they had nothing to do with each other and the subject matter was completely different. We had gone through the same journeys. And so that kind of started immediately to draw us close. I had to go home. I had a job. I had to get back, and he had to soldier on. And I was planning a road trip for a couple of months later. So I knew that I could add that as a stop because it was kind of on the way. So being in St. Louis, him in Dallas, Fort Worth, I tossed it onto the end of my trip, and I made sure that he knew I was coming back. Well, it just so happened. Well, first of all, we stayed in touch through that whole 2 months.
Yeah, he would call and check on me, and we would, video chat and all that sort of stuff. We texted all the time. It was like I had a constant conversation going on via text. And he was always checking in on me. Yeah. He really helped me get through everything I was going through.
Right.
And
then when I got down there, of course, we visited, we hung out, and he said, I've got this errand to run. It's kind of weird, but I got a phone call today from
the funeral home, and it just so happened that Lee's remains, I had him cremated, Lee's remains were ready. And so the day he gets down there, Craig gets down to visit, Lee's remains were ready. And so we went and picked Lee up.
And I carried him on my lap all the way back. So it was kind of a weird experience, but at the same time, it was very bonding for us.
Yeah.
And so from that point forward, we just really were, it was kind of like a whirlwind from that point forward. I planned to come back down there, in a little while. I asked him to come up and visit me.
He came down. Craig would come down and help me go through all of Lee's stuff. Lee didn't have any real close immediate family to speak of, so there was nobody. There was nothing. I had to take care of everything. And so Craig would come down and help me go through his stuff. We eBayed some stuff. Lee had animals that we had to take care of. You guys, if you've watched our videos before, Crypto the dog. Crypto was Lee's dog.
His ears, he popped his head up.
What? So yeah, so Craig was coming down and helping me with all of that, and he really kind of took on the mantle of helping me get through all of this.
And over a brief period of time, back and forth, and dealing with all this, the feelings started to happen.
Yeah.
I knew, however, he had just gone through something big, and he could not handle anything else on top of it. So I played it kind of cool and just sat back and let him take it. I let it go at his pace.
Yeah.
The big thing for us, I think, the turning point for us was he came up and visited me. Now, we had been back and forth and had a lot more interaction than you would think with a long distance situation. And it had only been about 6 months.
Yeah.
And it was pretty clear that we were head over heels.
Yeah, so I came up to the St. Louis area to meet Craig's family. It was over the Christmas holiday, and that was 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And so come up, and one of the first things that they do is Craig's family get together and we go out to dinner. And so I had met his sister-in-law, and we were talking, and she said, "So what did Craig tell you about getting back from Texas after the funeral service?" And I said, "Well, he said you guys went out to dinner and everything." She said, "Did he tell you what he told me?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, we started talking after he got back," and I said, "Well, how was the trip to Texas?" And she said he looked at me and said, "I don't know how to explain this, but I just met the man I'm going to marry."
I knew it. And honestly, looking back, I walked in his house and I went, "Oh, crap, there he is."
Yeah. What was crazy ironic when I was speaking with his sister-in-law in that particular moment is I had an engagement ring in my pocket.
Which was crazy early. I was like, what is wrong with you?
Oh, he didn't even know it then.
No, but now I'm like, what are you smoking? So later that evening, we were talking about some things.
No, it was actually on Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day, okay, my bad.
It was Christmas Day, and
take it.
It was Christmas Day, and we were talking about life and love, and our future ambitions and dreams and whatnot. And he had walked into the kitchen, and like you guys all know, I cook. We both cook, and I bake, and all of that. And so we were in the kitchen, and the moment just felt right. And I got down on one knee, and I proposed. And
right in my kitchen.
Right in his kitchen.
And I said,
"Yes, but it's going to be a long engagement."
Because I knew he wasn't ready yet. I knew that he wanted to be married, but he wasn't ready yet because he'd just gone through a lot of this and had the other stuff still going on. And he had some commitments that made it so that he had to be down in Texas for the next 2 years. Something like that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't quite sure how this was all going to work out. But we talked, I accepted, and we worked it out to where we had a plan. We were going to travel back and forth and see what happened and just do it on faith.
Yeah.
Long story short is everything went better than it should have. And 4 years into our wedding anniversary will be on the 31st of this month.
It's
so
a
just a week away.
Yeah. And really, the whole what we want to get across in this video is that when things are supposed to happen, we both believe very heavily that the universe helps you get where you need to be. And we were both going through some really tough times in our lives, making some drastic changes. And once we started making those changes, the doors opened, the highways cleared, everything just happened just like it was supposed to happen. And what should have been one of the most difficult things in our lives, having this long distance relationship between St. Louis and Dallas, and both of us having big careers and all of these things, everything just lined up. Everything fell into place. Everything happened at the right moment, just like it was supposed to happen.
We actually had a moment where we looked at each other and we're like, this is not supposed to be this easy.
It's not, yeah. I mean, even down to, the road, the signs were there. I mean, all of a sudden, 2 years before our wedding, it was like boom, boom, boom. States started legalizing marriage equality. It was like constant all over the place.
When something's supposed to be, it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I really feel like it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Me too.
It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Aww. So the best is yet to come, and we have a surprise for you. So, see, I told you. We have a bonus
surprise for everyone out there. So,
if you've made it to this point in the video.
Yes. And you want to see our wedding video, go to Facebook. Go to our Facebook page, Truly Remarkable Life. And on there will be a post of our wedding, a link to our wedding video. Now, the wedding video, it is posted on YouTube. However, it is not public. Right. So the only way to see the video is to go to our Facebook page, find the link, and you can go there and you can click on that link to get to it to watch. Right. And while you're on our Facebook page, please interact with us, comment on things, follow us.
Make sure you check out our Instagram page too. We sometimes put on different content under Truly Remarkable Life, and we also have the YouTube channel that will allow you to subscribe and click that little bell that's on there to make sure that you get notified when we put out our next video.
And interact with us on YouTube. Comment.
Please.
Yes, please.
And because you want to click that little bell and get notified, because our next video is our 100th video.
Yes.
So I have something planned for that to kind of align with what people wanted to see, do a little recap of what we've done, and that's going to come out by January 1st. And so make sure you click, subscribe, do all that stuff, and get ready, because we're starting a new year. You never know. Maybe our Truly Remarkable Life will take a different direction.
What have you got planned?
Go find your Truly Remarkable Life.
Bye.